Hello and welcome back. I am Corporal Kyra Pearl with the 3rd Armored Corps Public Affairs Office.
And I am Sergeant Cynthia Ramirez with 112 CAV.
And I am Samantha Farlow with the Garrison Public Affairs Office. And you are listening to Fort Hood's
Great Big Podcast.
And here with us today we have Fort Hood and 3rd Armored Corps Command Sergeant Major Cliff Burgoyne. Hello, Sergeant Major. How are you doing today?
Good, Corporal Pearl. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Sergeant Major. And we also have our Public Affairs Sergeant Major Crisp.
First name Jeremy.
First name Jeremy, yes. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Roger, of course. And then I hear today that we are going to be talking about quite a few things, one of which being the new and confirmed Army Combat Fitness Test, Sergeant Major.
It is not new. It is not new. It's the Army Combat Fitness Test.
Of course, Sergeant
It's
Major.
been here for what, 3 years?
3 years.
2-3 years, yeah.
Wow, long time.
So is this the ACFT 4.0?
No, this is the Army Combat Fitness Test, the ACFT.
Official. There's no more .0s. No.
Oh, okay.
Alpha Bravo,
Yes.
Charlie Delta.
Right, this is it.
It's just the ACFT, the
Oh,
Army's
okay.
Combat Fitness Test.
Very
Roger.
exciting.
So what are some of the big changes that we see with this official iteration?
There are some changes based on what's first come out. But the first I'd lead into this is, we are the United States Army, and the nation's going to ask us at some point in time to defend us, to defend our Constitution and our way of life. And so we've got to be physically fit to be able to perform those duties in combat. And so that's why we have come up with the ACFT. I think back to 2011. So I joined in 86. Louisiana math, that's 35 years ago.
And that was in the Louisiana National Guard as well.
Right, yeah. Louisiana National Guard. Anyway, so based on that, we ran every day. When I say we ran every day, Corporal, we ran every day. And I used to look and see the retirees, and they just weren't walking very well. I mean, it was pain. You could see the pain in them. In 2011 is when I made a change to do, functional fitness instead of running every day, because I knew at some point my body, my knees, my legs, back, whatever, was going to give up by pounding the pavement every day. And I'm here today in the Army because somebody encouraged me to start doing functional fitness instead of running every day. And it's made a huge change in the way I feel. It's had a huge change in the way I perform on a daily basis, where my joints feel. So let me tell you, it is the way to go. I'm excited to be in the Army, to be part of the ACFT.
Outstanding, as am I. I was talking to some colleagues the other day, is the old APFT, it felt like such a boring grind to go through, push-ups, sit-ups, 2-mile run. When you're actually taking the ACFT, it feels like you're competing against that person right next to you during the sprint drag carry, right there with you doing the standing power throw. So it makes it a competition within training to do your best at it.
Yeah. And I would say, conducting an APFT, what it did to me was, you ever had that aluminum taste in the back of your mouth because you're exerting so much energy?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
When I don't get that during the ACFT, and so I feel a lot better at the end of an ACFT than I do an APFT. APFT was just 2 minutes, hard as you can go. 2 minutes, hard as you can go. 14 minutes, or if you're a fast runner, 11 minutes, as fast as you can go. And there's something good about that, but from a longevity perspective, the ACFT is so much better than the APFT.
I was going to say, just to clarify, the APFT stands for what exactly? And this is just for people who may not know, or
I forgot it. It's been so long.
Anybody know?
I don't even know what an
Army-
APFT is.
Army
Physical Fitness Test.
Okay.
Yeah, I was kidding.
Combat fitness, Army
Right.
Combat Fitness Test.
Okay.
Now, so.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify that for people who may not remember our acronyms, and for myself, since I'm not a green suitor.
Oh, that's right. We got.
Yes, I don't know what we're talking about here.
Well, and we have a large female audience too, as well on the
we do.
podcast too, that may not necessarily be in the Army, that could help enlighten as well. So
Yeah.
But speaking of the Army combat fitness test, leg tucks, no more.
Yeah, no more. So the original design was to test the core, your core strength, and that's why the leg tuck was invented or put into play to test the core.
Okay.
What we did find out through RAND study, through a bunch of different things, is that in order to test your core for a leg tuck, you also had to have grip strength.
Oh, okay.
Not necessarily upper body strength, just
Right.
grip strength. And so for the folks that didn't have any grip strength, we couldn't test their core strength because they couldn't hang from a bar.
Right.
And so that's why we no longer do the leg tuck. However, the leg tuck is a phenomenal exercise if you can do it to strengthen your core. I mean, I'm a golfer, and I love to do leg tucks because it helps me hit the ball a little bit further.
Roger. And then I know that there's also been some discussion about how the scoring has changed for the new ACFT. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to keep correcting you on it. Don't worry about it.
Roger Sergeant.
Yeah. So the scoring is based on your age.
Okay.
Jeremy's probably, how old are you?
45.
45. So he's in 3 categories down. I'm 56, so I'm at the top end of, or the bottom end, however you want to look at it. So 57, I go into another geezer category
Okay.
to where all I have to do is breathe 12 to 20 times per minute, and I get 600 on the ACFT. So it's gender specific,
Okay.
and it's also age specific.
Okay.
And I think that's the way to go. I really do, because I can't do anything about how we're created.
Right.
We can't change that, and so I think it's the right way to go. And it is also specific to the alternate events as well.
Okay.
Roger, I love the fact that, this new scoring system, it came from using the data from 630,000 diagnostic ACFTs that were taken before it was officially put in place. And so it's judging based off of who we currently have in our force.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Sergeant Major of the Army Grinston talks about it all the time, and he made us as sergeants major, every time we met somewhere, we'd have to go take an ACFT. And I've taken it probably, 25 times in the last 2 years, and
Wow.
I'm ACFT'd out, testing-wise.
You're really an expert on this subject then.
I'm never an expert, but it's a really good test, and I'm glad we have it because it gives a really a variety of things that you're good at, and then things that you're okay at. I think it's good. If you take a look at the way we were in the Army back then, you weren't a good leader unless you could run really fast.
Oh, okay. I would be out of luck then because I'm a terrible runner. So
Yeah, so that's kind of how we evolved from a industrial age physical fitness to a commercial, or I don't know what the word I'm looking for. What am I looking for?
Modern.
Modern, yeah, modern, but something. Give me a bigger word. Give me an SAT word.
oh no, I got
I
nothing.
don't have the SAT top scores in here, so I'm
Definitely not.
I'm at the bottom.
Leg tuck is out. Plank is in.
Yeah, plank.
How are you at the plank, Sergeant?
Yeah, I'm not very good. I will tell you that I would have preferred leg tucks because I have grip strength and I could do 15 or 16 leg tucks, no problem. I'm going to have a struggle with the plank. I really am. But I also think as an Army, we are going to struggle at the testing piece because it's hard to grade. Kind of like the push-up, the wonky push-up that you
Right.
see people doing. It looks like they're doing the moonwalk.
The neck up. In
The
other
neck
words?
up,
Roger.
yeah, or the shoulder up, or whatever you want to call it. But I think we're going to have a little difficult time in testing. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I am, but I think we're going to have to be very not archaic, we're going to have to be very stringent on our standards to ensure that everybody here on Fort Hood is doing the same thing at Fort Carson, that's doing the same thing at Fort Benning, because soldiers are going to get promotion points based on the amount of what their ACFT score is. And so it's my responsibility. It's Sergeant Major Crisp's responsibility to ensure that we are straight across the board and we are not giving anybody any extra points based on not doing it the standard. And the plank is hard.
Right. Well, and specifically the scoring of the plank, because the way the hips can be either inverted, dropped, butt down, butt sagging. But
at the end of the day, though, Sergeant Major, it says the standard is from the shoulder blade to the heel, and it's got to be a straight line. And if we're not, I mean, how do you grade that? How do you know it's a straight line?
Right.
Well,
especially with the difference in physiology in people too, that can make it a little difficult.
Yeah.
I'm asking our BLC students every month to try to think of ways we can kind of grade this. Put like a tent peg at the heel and a tent peg at the shoulder, and then put a string there and somewhere, and just kind of be able to visualize. We used to take the clipboard to see if they were breaking the plane on the sit up.
Right.
I think we got to come up with something like that, and we'll evolve. We'll get better.
Right.
I mean, they don't call it the T10 Delta parachute for nothing. It was the T10, and then we went to the T10 Bravo, and then we improved it to the Charlie. That's one good thing about the Army is that we really improve on what we do. We improve our foxhole. And so I see us getting a lot better as the years go on.
Well, and the good news about the ACFT is that although it's the official test of record now, we don't have a record test that needs to be taken until October.
Yeah, October 1st.
October 1st.
You can't put it on NCOERs. You can't chapter a soldier out. You can't you can't flag them. What we can do, though, is we can take I'll say this twice, a diagnostic ACFT between now and September 30th or 31st. I don't know how many
30th,
days.
yeah.
30th, whatever. That's your job to do, not mine. And then officially October 1st, as you described it.
Right. And one of the misconceptions, please go ahead, Corporal.
No, you're good. I was about to say the same misconception. I know there are some units, at least that I've heard this misconception coming from. If somebody takes a diagnostic between now and before October 1st, whichever September day that is, if they fail on October 1st, will that fail become record? Or is it only passing diagnostics that become record on October 1st?
No, good question. No, it is October 1st. If you take it and you fail, you have failed. And so we'll go through the process to let you take another one 120 days after that. But September 30th, it's a diagnostic. October 1st, it becomes official, and therefore it is an official record ACFT physical fitness test.
But from my understanding, Sergeant Major, is that if you took a diagnostic between April 1st and September 30th, then when October 1st hits, you can ask to have that diagnostic passing one as a record ACFT in DTMS. Is that correct?
And that is fact.
Okay. But I think one of the misconceptions, too, is that units are out there telling their soldiers during this diagnostic period right now, you need to make a choice. Do you want to make this a diagnostic or a record? And they can't do that.
Urban legend
is
what they call that. That is not true.
Okay.
And that's totally not true.
Fun fact about the plank. All right. So the plank, we've also used data from the Marine Corps and the Navy. The Navy has had the plank as the program test of record as part of their physical training. Marines are incorporating it in 23. They're getting rid of the crunch, right? Because some of the same reason that we've looked at the sit-ups and got rid of it is because the overstress to the hip flexors. So the maximum score for the plank for our 17 to 21-year-old age group, you have to do 3 minutes and 40 seconds. The Navy, who has been doing this for some time, they only have to do 3 minutes and 24 seconds. So crushing the Navy by 16 seconds.
Look at us go.
But the Marines, we've got them in so many other ways. They figured they'd take this one from us. So their max is 3 minutes and 45 seconds. So that doesn't implement until next year. But either way, 340 is definitely a bit of a time to be doing a plank. So.
Well, I'm not going to go to the bait that you just threw out because I love all of our services. And so therefore, and I love to ride on a Navy boat.
All right.
So hopefully I can continue to ride on their boats. But that's fine.
Well, Sergeant Major, I may say the Navy may not let you since they call them ships, right? So are you going to be in trouble now?
I think it's a boat, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I don't know.
It's called, isn't it called a boatswain?
That is true.
Yeah.
They don't call them a ship's one. So we're getting way off subject.
Yeah.
Here, so Corporal Pearl, get us back on track.
So, do you know how often soldiers will have to take a record ACFT, Command Sergeant Major?
I do. What do you think it is?
Hold up. Is it every 6 months?
Yes.
Okay.
There we go.
There we go.
Every
See? I had
every
it.
6 months.
So yeah, twice a year.
So you only have to work twice a year.
You have to work all the time in between there to make sure you get the best grade on your ACFT as possible.
Yes.
Another tidbit behind the ACFT is that previously, and you already alluded to this, Sergeant Major, is that before with the APFT, if you failed one, you had 90 days before you were minimum to take one. Now we have 120 days, correct?
Correct. 120 days between tests.
Right. So if you fail one, you cannot be forced to take another one within 120 days unless your command and you agree to it. But
Okay.
you can't be made to do that.
Yeah. Hey, real quick. So just let everybody know,
Yeah.
I just went on Facebook Live for the second time in my life.
Congratulations.
The first one was the horses for the Budweiser.
Yeah, for the Clydesdale.
Oh,
The
yeah. That was a
Clydesdale
good day
horses.
for,
Yeah, it
to
was
go
pretty
live
cool.
for, yeah.
Anyway, this is my second day. We're on a podcast. It's called the Great Big Podcast.
Yeah.
Right here at Fort Hood.
Yeah.
Sergeant Major, permanent profiles before the ACFT. Let's see. Howdy, how you doing, Facebook? Sergeant Major Jeremy Crisp. I'm the Public Affairs Sergeant Major here, and we're adjusting our microphone to our phone to get us in here. So permanent profiles before with ACFT versions 1 through 100 didn't have a whole lot of inclusion for permanent profiles. Now we do. What's the answer on that, Sergeant Major?
Yeah, the answer to that is everybody, no matter the profile, permanent, they have to take one event. They must take one aerobic event, and those aerobic events is the 1,000 meter swim, which is going to be really hard. We tried it the other day, and I barely passed.
Oh, boy.
It's hard.
Yeah.
The other one's a 2.5 mile walk, which we've always had. The other one is the bike, and the other one's the row. And so there's 4 different events that you can do, and it's all timed, but it's a go, no go. So it'll be a passing event if you pass, and you'll get the 60 points according, and then you'll get 6 times 60, whatever that is. I don't do math in public.
So that's good. Neither do I. So plenty of options for permanent profiles to be able to take that one event. So that's great to see. Corporal, what do you got?
Whenever it comes to temporary profiles, what are the rules about having to take an ACFT or not having to take one?
Yeah, I think what it says is you can't.
Okay.
You don't take the ACFT while you're on a temporary profile, which is different.
Okay, that makes sense. Got to give time to heal and get that injury fixed so you're good to go.
Yep. And so soldiers that do fail, just to go back on this, cannot be flagged until October 1st, 2022 for regular Army and U.S. Active Guard and Reserve, after April 1st, 2023 for the reserve component. So there's a lot of implications there. How are things going with professional military education as far as your BLC, ALCs, SLCs right now as we lead up to that 1 October? Are they still using the APFT for testing to make sure folks are getting in there?
Yeah, good question. So we have been doing the ACFT in BLC for quite some time now here on Fort Hood, but it will become a graduation requirement on October 1st, it'll become a graduation requirement for you to graduate BLC.
And they can use that as part of the OML as well, or use it in course standings, right?
Right, correct.
Okay, that's cool.
And they will use that.
Okay. I think we're getting close to all the ACFT goodness. Do you have anything else, Corporal Pearl?
I don't have any other questions myself, Sergeant Major.
Okay. Is there any other ACFT stuff that you think we may be missing or need that are specifically, what's up, Facebook? How y'all doing? That we may have missed that's important and on the minds of folks?
No, it's just a good test. It's an ACFT. Let's not make it draconian to where you've got to, when you do an ACFT, you have to have white engineer tape around, a helmet or, all this stuff. And just go out and just take the ACFT. It's not that hard.
Right.
It really isn't. And so just go do it. Actually, as well as I do, our PT is harder than taking an ACFT.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's a whole lot easier. So just go do it. That's all it is. Don't be afraid.
And just for all our viewers and listeners, for the ACFT, go to army.mil. I believe it's army.mil/ACFT. All the frequently asked questions are there. All the information you need to these questions that we've already asked and more. Please get yourself educated. Go to army.mil. Google it, Army ACFT. You will find all the information you need. So please, and if you're finding folks giving you false information, call them out on it and go find a good sergeant major near you to help.
Especially, yeah. I've heard some people are getting some incorrect score numbers. So you can also use that website to check out the proper current scoring for all the age groups, male and female, and everything on there.
Well, I can say, being 45 years old now, I'm happy to see that the max deadlift is down to like a 260, which is reasonable without like a whole heck of a lot of effort.
You're talking about the minimum deadlift, not the max.
No, not the max. 90%. I can get 90% by doing 260.
Come on, who does
maxing
90?
it at 340? Our major, I'm shooting for 340, right? But if I get 260, I still got 90. So
well, there's a guy. We have a soldier that's here on Fort Hood. I grew up in the same hometown as his dad. And he deadlifts 440,
Whoa.
450.
Oh my goodness.
Strong guy. His name is Colin Brindell. He's from Slidell, Louisiana.
Wow.
And his dad's a pretty good guy too. I grew up with him. But that guy I saw him in the gym the other day. He's a beast.
There's some monsters here on Fort Hood.
Beast.
Yes, there are.
There's a guy in our building that I go to the gym downstairs, and I almost don't want to be in there when he's in there because it makes me look
intimidating.
He's such a giant and slamming stuff around. I'm like, all right, I feel like I'm strong until this guy gets in here. So, but yeah,
You
definitely
should just get a schedule and then avoid that time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I see him walking through the building. I turn around. So.
Yeah, I would tell people just start. Just start the process.
Yeah.
I wasn't born a sergeant major, and I'm not a freakish athlete by no means, and I got to put a lot of effort into it. Mm-hmm. It is not something that comes easy for me. Is physical fitness, and so I've got to work at it because I'm only 5'5".
A lot of dynamite packed in that package. So we talked ACFT, a little bit about you, Sergeant Major. We should have kicked this off. So you'd mentioned you're from Slidell, Louisiana. Interesting fact, you started your career at Fort Hood, your active duty career, correct?
Yeah, I sure did. I packed up everything I owned. Coming out of the Guard, I realized that, I didn't want to do a desk job. And I said, hey, I'm just going to join the Army. And I was just going to do it for 3 years just to go say, hey, I served on active duty. And here I am today. I'm here because, I don't know, leaders looked out for me and took care of me, and now I'm here.
Crazy how time flies.
I know. Oh, it's been a while, though. When were you born?
I was born in 1995.
95.
27 this year.
Nice. Pearl?
I was born in 2000, Command Sergeant Major. Yeah. I always feel bad when people ask.
One of those.
Yeah.
So one of the crazy things, you've spent a lot of time in the elite combat arms units, Ranger instructor. You spent a lot of time at H- at 82nd, to include being the division CSM, jump master, free fall parachutist, and just about every other course an infantryman can have. you're at a place with a lot of tanks, not a lot of infantrymen parachuting, different things. How does that evolution happen, considering you've kind of had a career trajectory that would not necessarily say you're going to be the CSM of 3rd Armored Corps?
Yeah, it's not something that I saw coming. But I'm very lucky that I was selected for this position. And at the end of the day, it's all about leadership of soldiers. It's all about giving soldiers opportunities to be successful. Training, which we don't talk about a lot lately, is training, and we'll talk about that soon for our LPD coming up the next 2 days. But it's really just about leadership and giving soldiers opportunities. The Army is 1.2 million soldiers. 1.2 million. Compo is 1, 2, and 3. And so to be able to, keep a 1.2 million soldier Army going in the same direction takes a lot of work, ensuring everybody is adhering to the same standards and keeping the ship going in the right direction. Remember, I talked about in the beginning as far as the plank. How do we score the plank? Well, we got to ensure that, when Compos 1, 2, and 3 are taking the ACFT, we're scoring the plank here on Fort Hood the exact same way we're going to score it for a reserve soldier in Oregon.
Yeah.
Roger.
And so it's just a hard thing to do, and that's why I'm here, is to ensure that the standards across the board are the same.
Can you talk a little bit about some of the differences between the light and now the mechanized side of the house, now that you've been with it for the last couple of years? Because you can't just take a tank and move it down to a port within 18 hours like you can a paratrooper and already have them overseas. So what are some of the differences you've seen or become educated upon that maybe you didn't know?
Yeah, a good question. I think the one significant thing that I've learned, and the difference is that we tend to put a shell over a unit, whether it be a company, a troop, a battery, and we think that at Fort Bragg, you can put the same shell on that as you can a unit here at Fort Hood. From a time perspective, from a resource perspective, you can't do that. And so, for example, to go through a training cycle for a airborne battalion, it takes about 9 months to get them through the wickets to be able to do all the different things the Army asks them to do, and their medal. For us here, it takes us about 15 months because of the amount of equipment, the amount of maintenance that it takes. And so the time that takes to train a brigade combat team versus the time from an airborne, I think, is the biggest difference that I see.
Yeah.
And the fact that we do a lot of maintenance here and we spend a lot of time on that. That's the biggest difference, I think.
Okay. A lot of stuff going on in the community. You're out in the community a lot. You see a lot of folks, meet with a lot of people. Can you kind of talk to some of the most recent events you've may have been out on and seen around Fort Hood, and some of the folks you've met with, and kind of tell us how things are going?
Yeah. We've got a great community. If you've been out, I don't know.
We do, yes.
Yeah.
We have a great community
it's
here.
a phenomenal community.
Yeah.
They really, truly, genuinely support our soldiers.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll give you one example. A guy named Fernando Fernandez. He works for First National Bank, which is First National Bank is in Killeen, Harker Heights, but they have a office, a bank here on Fort Hood. It's called Fort Hood National Bank. He works there, but he doesn't just work for the bank. He works for AUSA. He works for the AUSA mentorship program. He works. He volunteers for soldiers. He does financial classes for soldiers. And he is just one representative in an entire community that reaches out and spends their time asking the question, hey, how can I help the soldiers?
Yeah.
And I answer all the time, hey, you can do this, this, and this. If you look at our mentorship program, the AUSA mentorship program that he started, he comes out and gets volunteers every year, and we go clean out the front gate where the Texas highway is, where it runs into Fort Hood. And he organizes the whole entire thing. And he and Kelly Brown from AUSA, they do that. And it's just, they're just two people I'm talking about, but I could mention 100.
Yeah.
Big one coming up, Ben Hogan. You mentioned you're a golf aficionado. You like to get out there on the links. Did you participate in last year's, and what are we looking forward to in this year?
I did. So the Ben Hogan's going to come up. We have a social for players Thursday night, and then we have the Ben Hogan event on Friday, and it's just a phenomenal golf tournament. And what the Ben Hogan Foundation does for us is they put together a large scale PGA Tour type event for soldiers, where they feel like they're really participating in a class act, first act event. And the Ben Hogan Foundation, not only do they have a golf tournament for soldiers, but they also give educational scholarships to our soldiers and family members. So the Ben Hogan Foundation, I truly believe in. And it's going to be a great event. It starts at 10 o'clock. If you're not signed up, you're probably not going to play.
Right.
That is correct.
I think sign up lasted for like 45 minutes.
Yeah,
Yes,
before it was
it did.
Always goes real quick, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
Great event, though.
Well, they even have a kids golf clinic too, where the families, if they've registered and signed up, can get their kids in there to learn a little bit.
Yeah,
more about golf.
the golf clinic is on Saturday at the Clear Creek Golf Course here on Fort Hood, and it's for all kids ages. I don't even know. I think it's 6 to 18, 6 to 17, maybe
6 to
6 to 17.
6 to
Major.
17. Okay, there we go. 6 to 17, and it's that morning, and they're going to have professional golf instructors, professional teachers from all across the state of Texas that have volunteered, and they're going to come out and give lessons to all the kids. So if you've got a kid that wants to learn golf, wants to get better at golf, wants to be introduced to the game of golf, there it is.
Yeah, it's your opportunity.
Yeah, it's your opportunity. It's free,
Yeah.
totally free, which would normally cost you $150, $200 for a
At
professional
least,
lesson
yeah.
Right.
from a PGA of America professional.
It is such a great opportunity. And speaking of great opportunities, I know that the People First Center is supposed to be opening its doors officially soon. Isn't that right, Sergeant Major?
Yep. People First Center, located on Fort Hood, is going to open up. But here's what I'll tell you the People First Center does. The People First Center is continuing education to educate our young soldiers on life skills. On, it's not just people first, worry about me, meaning there are some things that you haven't learned. And I asked you the question earlier. I asked Corporal Pearl where her air filter was in her car. She has no idea where it is. Had no idea. And so we're going to, at the People First Center, we're going to teach you some skills that you haven't learned yet. One is that, how to confront somebody, how to talk to somebody and disagree.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Have
a
conflict.
skill that I think we've got to teach.
I would agree with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of other great things at the People First Center. A lot of the traditional AR 350-1 training, where leaders and soldiers in squad size elements can go in there and do some training on SHARP, equal opportunity, and a lot of other things, and see quite a few interesting vignettes over there with Captain Meeks and Sergeant First Class Hoover doing a great job at the People First Center. So the official ribbon cutting for that, I believe, is scheduled for May 13th. Hopefully we stick to that, Sergeant Major. I know it's been a really quick growth process, and things have really come a long way over there. So outside of the People First Center, back to some more of the fight that we're in, and some of the things that we're training for and doing. We've got 1st Cavalry Division, NTC. We've got 3rd Cavalry Regiment ready to head out. We got another brigade of 1st Cav going. Can you talk about some of the missions we've been training for and doing over there at NTC, and some of the great things you've been seeing the soldiers getting after?
Yeah, so first I'd comment on the CTCs, and one being NTC, the National Training Center, the other one, the Joint Readiness Training Center. So
I was going to ask you, so thank you for
So the National Training Center is at Fort Irwin, California, and the Joint Readiness Training Center is at Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Yes.
And what the CTCs are designed to do is test us and test our training to see how well we train. We can't put them in an environment like the CTCs do, like NTC does. We can't do the same exact things out here. And so there is a cadre of hundreds of people that oversee the training, that write reports, that evaluate, and then give us feedback to see how well we're doing, what our training is doing, what our training is not doing. And so we just put them in a mission to where it really tests you. It keeps you up at night, and you're only in the box, what we call the box, for 14 days live. But that simulates 6 months of combat. So you can, if you think about that and how we stress units, it's a difficult time to go through. Those 14 days it's hard.
Yeah, it sounds intense.
But it's at the end of the day, it's so good for the soldier. It's good for your career. I look back on all my NTC and CTC JRTC rotations. I learned a whole bunch.
We have a lot of families listening that may have soldiers that are out in these rotations or deployed overseas. What would you say to some of those family members out there that have their soldiers away right now?
Yeah, we always end conversation or begin a conversation with don't ever forget about the soldiers that we have serving overseas. We've got to keep them in our hearts and minds. And not only just the soldiers, but the family members. And I think we've got the resources here at Fort Hood and Third Corps across the Army that really look after soldiers and their families. But yeah, you always got to keep a soft spot in your heart for the soldiers that are deployed and away from their family.
Absolutely.
It's not easy.
Yeah, Sam being one of those husbands currently deployed, is a Black Hawk pilot, is that correct?
Apache pilot.
I'm sorry.
Well, I don't know if I would consider a pilot being deployed because, they get all the nice amenities.
That's right. Living
Yeah.
large over
Yeah,
there.
they have the nice DFACs.
They have beautiful lounges that they get to have for the pilots. So
Yeah.
when they're
That's
resting,
right.
they're really resting.
Yes,
so,
they are.
it's good to see that
Crew rest.
even the Apache pilot's spouse makes sure that folks know
Oh, always.
he's an Apache pilot.
Got to set the record straight.
That's so parochial.
Absolutely. Well, Sergeant Major, thank you so much for joining us. Please, Corporal Pearl, did you have anything?
No, I don't have any final questions. But is there anything else that you'd like to say, Sergeant Major?
I don't know. I've been talking the whole time. What do you think? What do you think?
I think that I have learned so much during this interview, and it has been a great time talking to you. Thank
whatever.
you so much
All
for
right,
coming on the show,
so-
Sergeant Major.
So that's such a political statement. Tell me what you learned.
I learned the... Oh, gosh. Don't put me on the spot like that.
Yeah.
Quiz now.
Yeah.
I learned that the ACFT has a plank now.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So
You didn't know that?
how would I know that?
Oh, that's right. Apache pilots don't.
Yeah,
That's right.
don't-
They don't do
they
that.
don't do
so
that.
I
Yeah,
don't need
yeah.
to know this.
Pearl, we're listening. We're not going to end the show until you tell us
Oh,
what
boy.
you learned.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Everything has flown out of my brain. I literally
Now that you're
cannot
being
think.
put on the spot.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll throw you a bone, Corporal Pearl. When does the ACFT record testing begin?
October 1st.
There you
There you
There you
go.
go.
She did learn
That's the
something.
most important date.
Outstanding.
Honestly, it is.
All right, Sam, back to you for whatever you got to do to.
Yeah,
Tell us.
thank you guys so much for coming on the show with us today. I know I learned a lot. I know all of our listeners probably did too. So we appreciate it and look forward to having you both back on hopefully soon.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Thanks, Sergeant Major.
Whenever. And if there's anybody in the audience out there that listens in, if I said something that confused you, like an acronym or something,
yes.
you got to let us know.
It'll be on
right
social
on.
media, so that hopefully they'll listen and put it in the comments, and we can do some back and forth.
Yeah, that would be great. Absolutely.
Discussion's always important.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you again.
Is it worth it? Is it worth it to leave your loved ones behind? Even large vehicles float, and overconfidence kills. For your own safety, don't drive into floodwater. It's not worth it.
Well, that was such a great interview. One thing that I just really want to highlight is the fact that Command Sergeant Major Burgoyne had such intricate and detailed stories from people within the formations of Fort Hood, different units. He knew their names. He was able to describe situations of seeing them in the gym and everything. I just feel like it's so refreshing to have leaders who are openly, actively engaging in
Yes.
their Army community.
Yeah, community both on Fort Hood and with off, like, because, you know, he was talking about
The different
community leaders. And
Yeah,
yes, it's definitely refreshing to see his involvement, and also he's just such a great person, so it's so fun to have him on the show.
Not to mention, he also mentioned that we have a bunch of units who have recently been filing through and coming out of the National Training Center, or NTC.
Yeah.
And speaking of which,
Welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah. NTC was it was some good training. It's just definitely something that a lot of us need for refreshers of going to like deployments or rotations. So it's just like some really good training that we did. It was the weather was crazy though, I will say that. Super windy. I think it rained on us a couple times. It was cold, like super cold at night. Yes, at night. And then in the mornings it was like super hot.
Right.
It's like you just
can't catch a break. You couldn't get a break anywhere.
Yeah, you're getting
No.
all of the weather, all the
Extremes.
seasons.
But yeah, from like what our leadership told us and from our feedback of how the training went and stuff, I know that 112 did fairly well, as even the brigade as a whole did very well. So that's something that we are actually really proud of.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's just something that a lot of us needed. We had a lot of incoming new soldiers too that got to experience that.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Well, that's good.
they thought it was like super neat and like super cool. But
Cool Army.
yeah, like they've never gone to like a gunnery before, and they go straight to NTC.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's like a big old like
No, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, the weather certainly was not crazy this weekend. It was really warm, very consistent.
Yeah.
And it was also Easter
It was.
weekend.
Easter
Yeah.
It's also Passover, and
Yes.
Ramadan is still currently
Yeah.
going on. So we had like all three, the little trifecta.
Right. Which won't happen again for another 33 years. Fun fact.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. How about that?
That is insane. Well, I might not be Christian, but we did celebrate Easter with my son for the first. He had an Easter
fun.
basket for the first time.
Yeah.
It was super exciting, and just I don't know. It was nice having Passover on the same weekend when everyone else was
Yes.
also celebrating stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's
nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. I went to Chicago for Easter, so
Ooh.
it was cold.
Really cold?
It was in the 30s there.
Oh wow, that's why you were giving me looks when I said it was hot.
Yeah, I was like, was it? I
It
don't
was
know.
very hot this weekend.
it was.
What
Yeah.
was that like? Oh goodness.
But yeah,
Well,
it was nice having
yeah.
a little 4-day break.
Yeah. Plus, this week it's been continuing with the nice weather, which is
Yes.
especially good because we're doing the spring cleanup this week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, very exciting. Everyone's out and about, taking care of Fort Hood, making sure the installation looks its most beautiful self. So
It's a great place. It's got to look great.
that's right. Love that. So yeah, how exciting.
Definitely.
I think, honestly, I have nothing else.
Me neither.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. So welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be back. Good to be back in Texas weather.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, I think that's all we've got for this week. So we'll talk to you guys next week.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
This podcast is a U.S. Army Garrison Fort Hood and Fort Hood Public Affairs production. The show's theme music is written and produced by Delicious All-Stars. All our music is obtained through Filter by Songtrader. Have a question or want to share some insights with us? Email us at forthoodpao@gmail.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at USAG Fort Hood. And as always, be sure to leave a review and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.